Hi, this is Tim Yoder with Fit Small Business. Today I'm evaluating Sage Business Cloud accounting software for the Fit Small Business case study chapter 1, which deals with basic company information. So I've signed up for Sage Business Cloud accounting trial. They have a 30-day free trial subscription, so I've signed up for that. Set up an account, answered a few basic questions, and this summary screen is where the wizard left me when I was done. So if we look around a little bit here, just get our basic navigation down. Looks like we have some tabs here across the top to go to the different, what I generally refer to as centers, to manage different aspects of the accounting. Also, we have a little red plus sign. Looks like if I hover over that, it pops up. And so this is another way to create items quickly. So that's similar. There's a plus sign in QuickBooks Online that's on the other side of the screen here. So this is, and there's no left menu bar here like there is in QuickBooks Online and a lot of other software. So this looks like a pretty decent setup. So let's go ahead and see what we have to do to get our company set up. Now I've already entered the company name and address as part of the setup process. But there should be somewhere we can go to adjust that if we had to. So what about over here in settings? About your business. Yeah, here we go. So here's where I could change the name and address that I've already set up. Very good. Okay, so what else do we have in settings? Let's look at transaction settings here. Okay, so we can set up, it looks like a default invoicing deadline, so giving everybody what we'd call a net 30. That's for our aging report there, where we want sales to go to. Okay, good. So it looks like you can map a bunch of different items to different accounts. Okay. So I don't see anything here we need to set right now, but this is good to know that it exists. We may have questions about it later. Let's see what else we got going on in settings. Okay, document settings, financial settings. Okay, so here's where we go to do our chart of account, our sales tax. Very nice. Okay, so let's let's make sure we've got our fiscal year and method of accounting set up correctly. So our fiscal year is going to be 12/31/2021. We want to lock anything prior to 2021, so let's put a lock date in here. See if I can just enter it, maybe it would be faster. Okay, and accounts start date. Let's put in let's put in the end of last year. That's when we want our balances to be. Okay. End of our tax year is going to be December. Our retention period. I'm going to leave that blank. In the US, probably 6 to 7 years would be a good reason. Okay, excellent. And then our accounting method, we'll choose accrual, and there we go. So let's save that. Setting this lockdown date will prevent transactions with an earlier date from being entered or changed. Do you want to continue? Yes, that's exactly what we want. Okay, it's going to require us to have a retention period. Okay, well, I'm going to put 7 years. Reason? I don't know. Statute of limitations in the US. And actually, it's generally 3 years, but so I'm going to change this to 6. Statute of limitations for income taxes is generally 3 years from the due date or the date you file the return, but if they accuse you of some sort of fraudulent activity, it goes out to 6 years. So it's best just to keep everything for 6 years. Okay, it looks like that worked and it's saving. Okay, very good. So let's go ahead here and go ahead and fill out our scorecard. Let me find the scorecard here. Okay, so here is our scorecard. Let's go ahead and fill it out with what we know so far. We were able to input the company name very easily, address, telephone, email. Have not seen where we record the entity type, but that's really not a big deal. So that'd be like a corporation versus partnership or something. Fiscal year, yes, we were able to do that. Okay, so let's keep moving forward in the case study here. So let's work with our chart of accounts now. Actually, before we do the chart of accounts, let's look at we want to set up 2 different locations to track separately and 3 different classes. And so let's see if we can do that. I don't believe that Sage Business Cloud Accounting allows for that. So after doing a little research, I found that Sage Business Cloud Accounting uses what they call analysis codes in order to set up different classifications, departments, locations, etc. So under our financial settings here, we can look at analysis types to set up different codes. Now, so we can have 3 different kind of parent codes, and then within each of those, I think we have an unlimited number. Okay, so we want to set up um, 3 different classes, and so it looks like I can change this to classes. Okay, and then I guess, let's see, code 1 will be, so I'm going to set up HVAC, plumbing, and administrative. Okay, and so I want to use these, we'll say I want to use these on all of these items. Okay. Now I wonder if I have to keep this code a number. I don't like to use numbers. Let's see if we can just use the names as the code. Okay, I think that should work. So I'm going to say save. Okay, now let's go on to, instead of cost center, I'm going to call this parent category location. Okay, and then within location, we want 2 different types of, we have 2 different locations. We want New York and Delaware. Okay, very good, and I'm going to delete the 3rd one, and we want to use these on all things as well. And it looks like when we get to project accounting, we'll be able to set up some various projects as well. Okay, so let's hit save. Okay, and now what is this group analysis, I wonder? Okay, so we can do customer. Okay, so we can also group our customers by different types of customers, vendors by different types, and products by different types. Okay, not something we do in this case study, but that could be handy. Okay, well, very good. So we were able to set up our locations. So let's go to our scorecard here, create 3 classes, and create 2 locations. Excellent. So now let's look at our chart of accounts. Let's go back up to our settings. And our chart of accounts. Okay, so the case study gives us a beginning chart of accounts. Okay, so it looks like it. So the program is giving us a default chart of accounts here. Looks pretty reasonable. Looks like we can add new accounts by here. We can import accounts and we can export accounts. Very nice. What about entering balances? Okay, well, before we go into entering balances, I want to make sure we're going to have all the accounts we need. So let's show 100 at a time. Okay, so I need to make sure we have all the accounts we need. We need to add a savings account, so let's click New Ledger Account. Okay, it looks like it requires the use of an account number, which not all programs do that anymore. Looks like cash accounts are labeled 10, and so we'll continue that. So 10, and then this will be 30. Category, this is a bank account, asset, bank. Okay, visibility. Maybe we have to do other payment, other receipts. So I don't see any reason we'd have to pay bills or receive sales into our savings account, but I am going to make it available for some of the other options. Let's remember that's there, so if we ever can't find the account that we want to put a transaction to, it could be due to this visibility options here. Oh, ledger accounts with a category of bank or credit card can only be visible in bank. Okay, so we'll take those off. Okay, so I added a savings account. So they have a property and equipment account. I want to change that to say just equipment. So let's see if I can edit it. Yeah, looks pretty simple. Okay, save that. Now I want to create another account, where did my account go? Oh, here it is, equipment. Yeah, so I want to create another equipment account titled vehicles. So I'm going to go up here. Oh, nope, that's wrong. Go here, new ledger account, vehicles, vehicles. The first equipment account was labeled 1500, numbered 1500, so I'm going to make this 1510. And I am going to call it a fixed asset account. Okay, and we'll just leave the visibility whatever the defaults were. Okay, there we go. Now we have two different equipment accounts and one accumulated depreciation account. That's what we want. Okay, we want a credit card payable account. Looks like our current liabilities are in the 2400. Let's just name this. Let's number this 2410. Okay, and credit card loan. We'll go ahead and leave it there in the visibility. Let's save. Okay, excellent. We need a loan account, so I'm going to take this long-term debt account and I'm just going to change the name to a loan payable. I'm not familiar with this category, future liability. That is not something I believe we use in the US. Okay, so they don't have anything here called long-term liability, so I'm guessing that is just a different terminology. In the US, we would call that a long-term liability. So I will go ahead and just keep it future liability. Okay, and we'll hit save. Okay, and there is our loan payable account. Then we need to have a common stock and additional paid-in capital. So owner's contribution, I'm going to call that our additional paid-in capital. It looks like I can't change the ledger name, so this is a system account apparently, but I will just change the displayed name to additional paid-in capital. Owner's contribution is more of like a self-employed Schedule C sole proprietor type of business. What we're setting up here is actually an S corporation. Okay, and so we're going to need one additional equity account called common stock. So scroll up here to make sure we know what we want to number it. Yeah, we're going to see. So it looks like 39 is our equity account. So we'll do 3940 and call it a common stock account. Okay, and it's an equity account, and we'll just leave the visibility settings to their default, but we need to remember that they're here. We may need to change something in the future. Okay, I think our sales, the rest of our income and expense accounts, I think we can just use whatever they have set up. So good, that's our chart of accounts. That was very good. Now the other thing we need to figure out how to do now though is enter our beginning balances in our chart of accounts, and I don't see anywhere here for beginning balances, so let's go to setting and see if there's a place to enter our beginning balances. Currencies, just while we're here, let's make sure we have currencies on US dollar. Okay. Okay, I don't see anything that specifies US dollar. Okay, so back to settings. We're trying to find where to input our beginning balances in our balance sheet. Here we go. We have an opening balances at the beginning of the year here. So let's go to our general ledger, open balances. We don't have any outstanding bills or outstanding invoices from customers. I'm going to keep it very simple. Okay. So this does not give us all the accounts we need. Oh, here we can select additional ones. Okay, so I'm just going to go through my trial balance in the case study here, and I'm going to enter the opening balance. Can I enter it here? So cash on hand we have cash, opening balance, $1,000. Okay, so we need to select this. Okay, so it's a debit balance in our cash. So yeah, that's a little bit oddly phrased because we're not actually like receiving it at this point. We've received it at some point in the past. Okay, but that's the $1,000. Checking account. Has a debit balance of 10,000. So just one note here on it saying that it's 12/30 instead of 12/31. So we probably should have set our first accounting day as January 1st, and then this would be December 31st, but it's not going to make any difference. December 30th is fine for our beginning balances. Okay, and then a savings account. Now our savings account is not showing up in our bank accounts here, so let's go ahead and hit save. let's go to settings. So down here was beginning balances. So maybe we'll have to set it up here under the general ledger. So you know what well, no, there's common stock as one of the accounts we've entered. Okay, so it's not even showing the beginning balances that we just entered in our checking account. Well, here's our savings account. So what if we click here? Okay, so it showed up in our prior screen. I'm just going to back up. Right, so savings account is showing up in our prior screen here, right? But then when I click on it, it's taking me to another screen that says bank account opening balances. Okay, and then when I try to select it here, it's not here. Interesting. So let's cancel this. Now the other thing that's concerning me is that in this opening balances window, we've already entered a checking and a cash balance and it's not showing up. So let's go to reports and let's look at our balance sheet. See if it's showing those opening balances. It is not. So it didn't properly record those opening balances. Okay, so let me do a little bit of research on how we're supposed to enter our opening balances. So it appears these accounts are bringing opening balances over from other areas. So like accounts receivable, if you were to enter opening balances in your customers' accounts that they owe you money, then that would automatically flow here. So same with bank accounts. So let's do the easy ones first. So let's do the ones that shouldn't flow from anywhere else. So like the equipment account of 75,000. So equipment opening balance of 75,000. Okay, what's our, yeah, we'll just call it opening balance. Okay, and then our vehicles opening balance of 60,000. Accumulated depreciation opening balance of 115,000. Okay, credit card. Now, credit card payable is up here in banking, so we're not going to be able to enter that one directly. Common stock. Try that again. Common stock. Would be a credit balance of 1,000. And additional paid-in capital should be a credit balance of 20,000. Okay, and so retained earnings. Do we have a retained earnings account? Yes, retained earnings is 154,000. Okay, and so there we go. So that is going to create a opening balance balance in this account 9100 called opening balance. It's going to create a balance in that account of 155,000, which is the amount of the other items we have not yet been able to enter. So let's go ahead and click Save. There's one error. Oh, we need a reference. I'm just going to call it opening. Okay, and click Save. Okay, so those are now our opening balances. The transaction date must be later than the year-end lock date. Okay, so we locked that prior accounting period too soon, so let's go ahead and we're going to follow that link to change it. Oh, that's just a help link. It's not taking us where we need to be. Let's go back over here and let's go Settings. I think it was in this. Maybe not. Settings. Let's go to the fiscal year and accounting method. Yeah, year lockdown. Let's hit delete. And while we're here, let's go ahead and change this to the beginning of the year. Okay, and click Save. Now we don't have a lock date. Now we should be able to enter our beginning balances. And let's see, where did we find those? Settings. And looks like we got to start all over again. Okay, so I tell you what, I am not going to make you sit through this. Let me pause it and I'll re-enter these. Actually, you know what? We know that should work. So let's go ahead and let's work on the other ones first. Let's work on the bank accounts here. So I'm going to go back to that screen I was at. Okay, so let's enter our opening bank balances. Okay, so again, it's only given us 2 of our 3 bank accounts. And we tried this before. Oh, let's try it again. Checking. Okay. Let's change this to the last day of the year. A debit of $10,000. Okay, now let's save this and see if it's flowing through like we expect it to. Okay, now let's go to Settings. And this is where we should see that $1,000, $10,000 flowing through. Okay, that time it did. So perhaps it just didn't save it last time because of we had the lock date or something, but I don't think it gave us that warning. Okay, so now we can enter. So if we click here, I think it'll take us back to that bank screen. And so we can enter the cash balance, which is also a debit, and that was 1,000, and save it. Okay, now the problem is the 2 bank accounts we added, which are the savings and the credit card account, are not showing up here. So we need to figure out what's going on with that. So let's go back up to Settings. Let's go into our chart of accounts and see if we can see a difference in the way they're set up. Okay, so let's go down here to our chart of accounts. Okay, so they're set up as a bank account, asset, visible, display name. Okay, so let's see exactly how checking is set up. Checking 1010 bank. Visibility is bank and journals and reports. Okay, let's look at the savings account we set up. Okay, savings account, bank, category group, asset. Was that the same? And then bank, journals. Okay, let's see if the category group, was that the same? Category bank, category group, asset. Category bank, category group, asset. Yeah, so it looks to be set up the same. Okay, so that's not the problem. Let's go to our banking tab and see if we have to add the account there for some reason. Yeah, so here is a problem, right? We only have these two bank accounts. Where are our other accounts at? So are they in the inactive? Add a new bank account. Savings. Okay, we don't want to connect to the bank right now. Can we just save that? Okay. Well, that's weird. So we had to set it up in the GL, but then we also had to come in here and set it up. So what I'd say is probably don't set up bank accounts in the GL. Just save them up here. Okay, and so let's do another one for our credit card. Okay, I want to look real quick at my chart of accounts and see if we've created an additional account here. Yeah, we did. So 1030 was the one we had originally created. So I would say just don't create bank accounts here. You can't create them here. You got to create them in the banking area or they won't be available. Okay, so let's see if we can delete this 1030. What if I just uncheck it, I guess? I don't know. And then credit card payable. Oh, so it gave it a 1050 even though it's a credit card. That's kind of a weird numbering system. We'd put it down here with the rest of the liabilities. But let's go ahead and unclick it. Okay, there we go. So don't set up your bank accounts in the chart of accounts. Set them up in the banking section. So now let's go back. Let's get our beginning balances finished up here. So to do our banking ones, let's go to the bank opening balances. Now they should show up. Our savings account, debit balance of 150,000. Okay, our credit card liability, it's going to be a credit balance of 6,000. Okay, save those. Now let's go to our general ledger opening balances. And all those bank accounts should be flowing through now. Yes, and there they are. Okay, so now I need to go through and do what we had done before, but that we couldn't save it because we had the date locked. So I'm going to go through here and like put in the equipment, but I'll go ahead and pause so that you don't have to suffer through this with me. Okay, so I've re-entered these general ledger account opening balances. You'll now notice our debits equal our credits without any amount going into this opening balances account. And so we know we've entered debits that equal credits, and so everything looks good. Let's click save to save our opening balance, and there is an error. Oh, we still need a reference number. BB for beginning balances. Okay, and it looks like it saved them. So let's check. Let's go to reports, trial balance. Okay, and there's our trial balance. So we do have beginning balances in there. Excellent. So we've set up our beginning balances. Let's go to our scorecard. A little harder than we would have liked it, but now that we know how to do it, it wouldn't take much time, but there was a little bit of a learning curve there. So we can modify the chart of accounts pretty easily. We were able to enter the beginning balances. We can close the books prior to the current year. That's that lock date. Okay, so that's it for the chart of accounts. Now the case study would like us to provide access to an additional user named Jane Doe, and she is going to have access just to recording and paying our bills, and so basically an accounts payable clerk. So let's go to our settings. Okay, is there somewhere to manage? Here we go, manage users and permissions. Okay, that's me. Let's invite another user. We will just give her a fake email. User permissions. So we don't want to make her a system manager. We would rather her be an accounts payable. So can we do a custom option? So this is an accounts payable, so no access to sales. Purchases, we want full access. Bank account, so basically she's entering and paying bills, so we're probably going to need to give her access to the bank account. Contacts, she should have access to full reporting. Maybe read-only access there, so she can look at an accounts payable aging report if she wanted it. We don't need her messing with our settings. Financial statements, maybe read-only. Okay, save. That was really nice. That's some very detailed permissions. Very good for a product in this price range. Excellent. Okay, and there we have invited the user. Of course, she'll never respond because it's a fake email. But let's look at our scorecard here. So add an additional user and restrict the rights of the additional user. It was really good on those restricted rights. Again, that was a very, very high level of customization for a product in this price range. Okay, import the chart of account. We were not able to import. Actually, let's double check. I know we couldn't import the beginning balances, so we're going to give them a 0 there. But I can't remember if there was a place to import the chart of accounts if we had wanted to. How do we get out of this screen? Okay, no, that's going to let us invite another user. I don't know. Okay, there we go. That took us back to our normal screen. I just clicked on that accounting. Okay, so let's go to our settings and let's work with our chart of accounts and see if we can import it. Okay. Okay, so we can export there, but I don't see a way to import it there. Now I want to check one other place here is in our under our summary tabs. It gives us a list of things to do at our startup. Yeah, I'm not seeing any way to import the chart of accounts. Okay, so we are going to give that a 0 as well. Okay, and that's it for Chapter 1 of the Fit Small Business case study, dealing with the basic company information for Sage Business Cloud Accounting.